Oof. All right. Okay. So we got a lot of stuff always to work on. Pretty excited here. I am going to test run a coach's corner. We're going to start. This will be our first pilot. And of course, I had to bring on one of my favorite coaches, also, too. My poor guinea pig, my wife, and my best friend, and good coach friend of mine as well, and a peer I think of. So I'm going to bring on Miss Gillian Mormont.
Yep.
Whoa.
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 Well, you brought me on there. I don't know.
I mean, why so quick about the yes? Yes.
You brought me on.
Yeah, I just got you on here. Yep. I am the coach's corner.
Richard's already heckling us, man.
With Max, and this is featuring Coach Gillian Mormont. So we're gonna go through some questions, a little Q&A, and we'll see where it takes us. Where the night closes in. Look at this bullhorn; it's like right on my face.
I know. I was trying to figure out why my face is so zoomed in here on this shot.
I gotta sit above this lion's. Okay. I gotta sit. It's like this in my face. So real quick, sorry, I got a little distracted, Gillian. Give me a little bit of coach's history, like what year you started, where you've coached, what you've done, just a quick little history of kind of where you've been.
What year I started? I was. I think I was like 20, 21. So like 15 years ago. That means I'm 35. So what year was that? 2006, right around there.
Okay.
And I started at I didn't really coach at Equinox, but that's where I started working in a gym environment. And then from there, I learned how to coach. And I started working at CrossFit gyms. I worked at a couple. Worked at CrossFit Laguna Beach. That was my first one back in the day. It's not even around anymore. It turned into a different gym. And I did that. I was like their morning coach, their 5:30 a.m. because nobody else wanted to do it. So that was me. Don't mind my M in the back here that Milo painted at preschool.
I thought that was for me. I
was trying to hide it, but
that wasn't. Cool. I didn't put that on there, or what?
No, I keep every day. I'm like, Milo, do you want to finish painting this? And he's like, Nah, I left it like that on purpose.
I feel like you got distracted when I put you on the main cam there.
Okay, sorry.
I feel like you got more to your history than
I do. So anyway. So I worked at CrossFit Laguna, and then I also worked at CrossFit Balboa, and then I started working at CrossFit Costa Mesa in like 2008, right around there, 2009. Shoot, man, 2008 I think was my first year. I've been there for 10 years plus, so maybe 2009. And then I've pretty much only been a CrossFit coach or a personal training coach. I haven't really worked in another environment. Like I've never worked in a 24-hour fitness or a Globo gym type, but I've done a good amount of
manager. Weren't you an operations manager at a Globo gym?
No, I was like a front desk manager.
I mean, so you worked there. How long did you work
technically, there? Like 3 years.
I mean, dealing with people at the front desk is, I only lasted like 4 months. So
no, you were there like a year and a half.
No, there, yeah, but at 24, before I took a personal training.
The front desk is no joke, man. Like people you get a lot of heat at the front desk, but but it was good. Like that was one of the most fun jobs I've ever done. Like I still have friends that I met at that job. And it was like a good sort of like segue into working in the fitness industry. I probably, I guess, would have moved into being a personal trainer eventually at Equinox, but the opportunity opened up for me to work at CrossFit gyms, and that seemed like much more my style. Though I did like do personal training at CrossFit gyms. I've done like a pretty wide array of personal training clients. I've coached youth kids. I've coached like everyday people. I've coached a handful of elderly clients, which are probably my favorite to coach, personal training wise, just because you have to be really creative with like what you do, not because they have limitations one way or the other, but just because like you have to be creative with like what exercises you do with like the time you have inside of your session and how it can really apply to like, you know, making them just a healthier individual. Where like when you coach an everyday person, I think that it's fun because you can like use really like almost like how you always call it, like black box things. Like you can just be like, hey, what does this do? You know, and like you see what happens. But like when you're coaching like a more elderly or senior population, you have to be really specific. Like how does this help them? Like if they were to fall or if they were to, you know, whatever, like be able to kind of get themselves out of real life situations.
I also feel like the elderly are like one of the first to give you feedback right away.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Oh yeah. I used to have this lady that I trained, and she was like, she would always be like, why are you making me do this? Like everything. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I do have a reason, but I will explain it. But so yeah, I've done, I mean, a good amount of that stuff. I've worked with some teams. I've even done some like, you know, higher level athletes when you had me fill in for you. So I mean, I always got that kind of experience too. But yeah, that's my background. I mean, technically I went to school too, and I have been to school for a couple of different things, but I got some good kinesiology background in there too. And, you know,
what
that's
got
where
you
I'm
into
at.
coaching?
Well,
What got you into coaching?
I mean, to be honest, I was never like, I'm going to be a coach, you know, and I think that there's two schools of thought on that. Like some people think that coaching is sort of a thankless job where, you know, like you always, you like put in lots and lots of time and effort and love into your clients, and sometimes it's not really returned. So there's people that think like you have to want to do it every single day in order to be fulfilled, you know. Don't give me sound effects, dude.
That works so good. Yeah, no, I feel you 100%. Like the whole water.
And then, well, I was saying there's two schools of thought. So there's that school of thought, you know,
Yeah,
and then there's the other people that kind of like myself, like I didn't wake up when I was 5 years old and be like, this is what I'm going to do, you know, like on the contrary, I went a couple different routes first, but I got into it because I was always an athlete, and I liked, you know, I liked being involved in athletics and fitness and health. And through school, I realized that I liked all the kinesiology side of things and stuff like that. So luckily I met you, and, you know, you opened up the door to like giving me some opportunities to coach. And then I just ended up, you know, having kind of a type of personality that fits well with like coaching, you know, like groups and people. So that's how I did it. Here I am today.
You were kind of doing the internet thing, cutting in and out a little bit, and I had to figure out what I was going to do, and I realized that unfortunately, if the guest freezes, I have to actually just go to myself.
Did I freeze?
Yeah, a little bit. It's because I'm the moving part. So what besides, so really the environment of being an athlete and then kind of wanting to pay it forward and then being around other people while you started training and then kind of coaching me or others and then being in the gym kind of drew you just further into kind of being almost what I would say a gym rat kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think like once you start on this path, like you start seeing the benefits of like people. I mean, like working out or health and fitness or whatever you want to call it, like it really does have like a pretty big impact on a ton of people's lives. Like I've met more people that have changed their life through fitness than I have in any other way. Like, and I think that that's huge, you know, and that's what I mean by like, I didn't mean to sound ungrateful, like it's a
No,
thankless job, but like
no, I feel
there's
you.
so like I think that that's, you know, like people are always like, well, what changes people's lives? It's like, oh well, teachers, doctors, you know, like things like that. And like, I mean, that's absolutely true. They do, but there's so many people that have like really committed to like trying to make their own life healthier, and they do it through fitness and diet and stuff like that. And you know, it's exciting and really rewarding to be a part of their journey, because it really is like a self-motivated journey that, you know, like we just get lucky to be a part of, I think.
100%, which makes us more of a coach than sometimes like a personal trainer. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
but yeah.
What types of certifications do you got, or did you have, or did you hold, or were you involved in things like
I Well, I have my CrossFit certs. Like, I mean, I'm no Steven. You should have him on here. He's a level 3, you know. But I have my level 1 from CrossFit, which I got the same day as Alec, which is wild. But I got that a long time ago, and then I've like retested that and maintained that and kept it up. I actually recently just took the cert again, or I guess it's called a seminar now. Sorry, seminar now. And then I've done a lot of their specialty seminars, so kettlebells, gymnastics. I did the kids one. I've done the Olympic lifting one. I actually coached the Olympic lifting one probably 5 or 6 times. Did the football one. I helped coach that one too a couple times. So I have a lot of like the inside of the CrossFit community. I have a lot of their specialty seminars. And then as far as like certs outside of there, I've done a lot of the groundwork for like the NASM and CSCS, and the schooling, I guess. I mean, I went to school for kinesiology. Well, I originally went to school for psychology, so I did a lot of like the sports psychology side of things, and then also for kinesiology. But like certifications, I don't know. I don't have like a ton of
more certified than I am right now.
I don't have a ton of letters behind my name. Like, I mean, I will be honest with that. Like, you know, I've always been more into like learning through like just, you know, like reading, going to classes, watching interviews, listening to podcasts, stuff like that. I've never been like all about like getting the certs in order to have the cert, you know, which I should be like, absolutely. But I've just always
you've always had a nationally accredited certification because I know you. But I also know that you kind of are in the same ballpark where if you read books and you read a lot of books, you get pretty knowledgeable. And then if you actually practice, you know, you actually practice what you're actually reading and you have a practical environment, then you actually start learning from it. And then you develop more so as a hands-on coach. You're not just teaching what you're reading. And so it's just a whole other animal that you get to develop. And I don't think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people go the opposite way where they get certified and then next thing you know, they just use that certification. Because I know a lot of my certifications that I've held and let lapse is mostly because I held them for over 10 years. I had 2 certifications, actually 3 certifications that I held over 10 years. And then at some point I was like, $500 a year is becoming extremely expensive after 12 years, 13 years. It's like, okay.
Well, I think too,
like a lifetime.
Lifetime. What do I have to do to be the lifetime member?
Dude, but
I think too, like that's I'm like, I mean, there's, you know, athletics and fitness, they haven't changed and then they have changed, you know, like the basics haven't changed in forever. So like that kind of stuff, like once you get a good foundation of knowledge on that, like really all you have to, I mean, what I found to be like helpful is just like keep up with like the current studies and the current philosophies and stuff like that. But like in terms of like the basics, you know, it's a wheel is a wheel, you know, a squat is a squat.
Like, you didn't invent the squat? What?
No, I didn't.
Stop it. Okay. Oh, hold on. This tag needs to be down here. Boom. All right. So let me ask you, where are you and your gym located at?
Okay, well, I'm at CrossFit Costa Mesa. I mean, it's real far away.
Okay, sorry.
So I'm in
Actually, I think I have a
California, for
banner
those of
for-
you that don't know that. And I've been there. Gosh, I think I started in 2010. You know, I'm taking that back because I was at Balboa in 2008. So I'm pretty sure I started 2010. So I'm in my 10th year at this gym, which is wild too. So I mean, poor Alec, he can't get rid of me. So yeah, I've been there for a long time.
Okay. I should have probably got your handle too.
I'm at G Formanek.
Okay. I got you. Um,
I
let me
feel like your lighting is a lot better than my lighting. Like I look all dingy over here. You're like lit up with a glorious
I
professional
mean, if
light.
you want, I mean, I can throw some. Hold on.
No.
Let me show you. I don't think you understand the glory. The glory.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know. Well, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Little accent.
Looks good. Not doing anything for me, but that looks good. Yeah.
Look at the lion, though. The lion looks hot now.
Yep.
All right. Sorry. Okay, so what drives you? What drives your coaching daily? So, like, kind of what's your daily passion, or what fires you up in the day? What reminds you of why you love doing what you do?
Well, I mean, I kind of already touched on this, but like just seeing people that are like really committed to just trying to live healthier. I mean, especially nowadays in today's climate, as you would say, you know, like, I mean, it's pretty much of the utmost importance that we're as healthy as we can be when we get back out into the world, you know? So just seeing people and interacting with people that put that as a priority is really rewarding. And then it's just fun too. Like, I think that's the one thing you just have to remember when you're a coach, especially when you're like a coach in a group environment. It's easy to just kind of like shut off and just be like, okay, here's the warm up, here's the workout. Okay, see you later. Next hour, do the same thing, you know? Like, it's fun to like really pay attention and see like what people are doing, like what people are accomplishing. And like, I saw somebody the other day who she's one of the ladies at our gym, and maybe I like connected with this because I came from a similar background, but she like clean and jerked 100 pounds for the first time, you know? And I just saw her like, she was one of those girls that like during quarantine, she came every day to the Zoom class, and like she was smashing it with like this super ghetto like sandbag and like, you know, like all kinds of stuff. But like really, I could tell, I was like, hey, when you get back to the gym and you get a barbell in your hands, you're gonna do good things.
Stronger, yeah.
And I saw her and I was like, I had to like stop everything and be like, I'm so proud of you right now, you know, like. And so it's things like that that I think are really cool to like, as you just gotta pay attention and, you know, like see the small victories in every day, especially coaching in an environment like we coach in. So that's what I like.
I love it. What is your ideal or perfect client or member? Like, what would be your dream? Your dream, as I would say, your dream
My
client.
dream. I mean,
Dream.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, kind of just said it. Someone that's like happy.
yeah, I would say someone that comes in and is like, regardless of the workout, is like, this is gonna be a fun one, guys. I'm pumped, you know?
Like someone comes in, it's like I'm ready to F, or like
Yeah.
the workout. Like I'm ready to
just like,
smash this
you
thing
know what,
and fight,
you know,
like,
you know what's my least favorite kind of client? Can I answer in
hold
reverse?
on. Here you go.
It's like,
What is your not so ideal athlete?
okay.
I remember.
It's just like I mean, I'm not gonna say cherry pickers because we're all cherry pickers in some way, you know. But I would say like the people that are and not that I dislike this. It's
Cherry
just
picker,
that
I go on my workout days and I go home on my rest days. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. These like, I think people like this are just tougher to work with, but maybe that's like, you know, just another population of the clientele you see, so you have to really like figure out how to connect with them. But people that are just like, 100% on days they love, and then they're like, meh, I'm like super grumpy, and they're like negative, and like 5% energy on days that they hate. And you're like, I know that it's snatches, so you're gonna be a 5%er today. But then burpees come up and it's gonna be 100% day. So those
Yeah,
people are tough.
like today's workout, watching somebody,
Today's workout
the
was
people
fun.
that were, what's that?
Today's workout was fun.
Yeah, but like the people that were struggling at the muscle ups, those that were like willing to do the 20 minutes of muscle ups,
Yeah.
to get there in 10 minutes and then just be like, dun, dun,
Oh man, you
oh
made
my
people
God.
stay. I was like, hey,
Like,
just work for 10 minutes and move on.
no wonder why. No wonder why. No wonder you're building that culture.
No, that's not building a culture. That's just keeping people positive, you know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree. That's why we work together. You're definitely the
Yeah.
coach that I feel like, oh hey, she's gonna be your cheerleader, and hey, you're gonna have to build yourself back up.
Yeah. But you know what happened in those 10 minutes? Some really good muscle ups, you know? And then they came, they
You know
came
what
back
happens
and they
in 20
were
minutes?
excited.
There's some
But
people
yeah, like a workout like today. And I think too,
and
like,
then others are like this.
yeah, it's just tough. And I think like you see it a lot in like the CrossFit atmosphere, because like everybody wants to be so good at everything in CrossFit,
Yeah.
and I remember like having this mentality, and I like threw a water ball at you one time because I couldn't jerk 80 kilos, like, and everybody else in the room could do it. And like I have since mellowed out a bit, but I think like it's hard. Like it's hard not to get caught up in like wanting to be so good at everything, even though the idea of CrossFit at its core is you're going to be 20% good at everything, like you're not going to be 100% good at all things. But I mean, it's tough. So like I mean, that is hard. Like it's a lot easier when you're like at the gym doing other stuff like bicep curls or squats or deadlifts, and you can pick what you want to do, and then you're like, I'm crushed every day, But
Okay. Here, give me any funny story.
stop. I don't have any funny stories, dude.
Really?
I don't know.
Really?
Can you give
I
me a
have one.
better?
I have one. Ooh, I got the answer. Can I answer
Okay,
it?
give it to me. I'm just not good at impromptu funny stories.
All right, I got you. Let me get you off here.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. So I remember specifically you as my coach, and we were at, I think, Americans or
Oh, well, that's like your go-to funny story.
Nationals, and you were like pretty good at the lot numbers, which I and you were always good at counting for me. You were always good at prepping me mentally, physically, everything. Like when we would get there, I was pretty good automatic. But I remember you were always willing to take my shit, take my aggression, just the rest. I had a lot of rest. And as a coach, wife, friend, you were always really good at that. And I remember the lot numbers with the numbers and stuff, and the desk, the cards. They couldn't figure out, the computer broke down. They couldn't figure out the lots. They couldn't figure out where they should be sitting. At one point you started pointing at cards. Nobody else could figure it out. The 105 session was a mess, and it was an A session, and it was just a battle. And I remember like warming up and just laughing and watching this thing go down. And most of us lifters, and that's the one thing I really liked about the heavyweights and the super heavyweights, the heavier you got, the more jovial they got. But we were all just laughing at all these coaches battling these old timers at these judges, poor guys, at the table. And then at some point, Gillian was like, fine, let me just do this for you. And the old man was like, okay, whatever. And then you like adjusted his cards for him. And then honestly, you walked back, and I was like, gee, whoa. And then you went back and were like, hey man, I'm sorry. As a good coach, you apologized.
No, he tried to kick me out.
Slapped your hand away. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, he was mad at me. But he was like,
so good.
He was an old dude.
That old man was, that judge.
How what?
How old do you think he was? 70?
No, 70s? He was like 80. He was like
70 and 80.
High 70s, early 80s. But like he was old, dude. And I mean he was a senior. He would have been my favorite client, but my least favorite card table man.
Man, that lot
But
was
like, so no, he like got mad at me, and it was only because I was a bit feistier in my younger age, you know, and I told him, if you can't figure out the computer, then you shouldn't have this job. And I was like,
whoa, whoa,
yeah,
whoa,
you knew that,
whoa.
you know that I said that, and I, it wasn't like meant to be rude, but it was just like
Right.
everything was in limbo, you know? And then I was like, okay, and I rearranged everything, and he got mad at me. And then I came back and apologized. And he was like, no, sir, I do not want your apology.
I
And I was
did
like,
hear
okay,
you.
fine. And then every time I saw him at a Olympic lifting meet, at a USAW event, he just like wouldn't look at me the rest of the time. But I mean, it's fine. Like that. He was so old and couldn't figure it out.
Rude. So
God.
rude. So
Poor
rude.
guy, dude.
Like
But he yelled at me first, so I felt that was justified. Yeah, I see you pointing your rude thing at me.
all right.
I got lots of
That was one of my favorite stories as an athlete. I also knew that my coach was going to protect me if she was willing to fight an 80-year-old person. I knew my coach was going to protect me.
No, I guess that makes me sound really bad. I shouldn't have said
Nah,
that.
not at all. Not at all. When you're in the heat of the moment as a coach and you're following all the like quality coaching guidelines or the etiquette of a coach in the heat of battle, which you did, you were following all the guidelines. Hey, so what would be your favorite methodology
of coaching?
Yeah. I mean, we get to do a lot. I mean, and then you've read a lot. What is your favorite?
Yeah.
Obviously, we use it in a form of CrossFit, but what would be your favorite methodology? Like even when you're doing Olympic lifting, when you were doing track and field, cross country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess I could have said like did come from a running background. Oh man. I mean, I think that my favorite. I mean, you want like a specific methodology, like a program type?
Whatever. I mean,
I don't. I think that.
methodology, regiment, or program that you feel
Okay.
comfortable talking about. I mean,
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we've done a lot of them. I think my favorite thing to do is plyos. Like, yeah, like it's my favorite thing to do because like it's one of my most fun memories in the gym. Like when we used to do the flying squirrel drill and we would have to yell squirrel on the top of everyone, you know? But I also like did tons of plyos and like running and skipping drills growing up and in high school and college with track. And then plyos are my favorite thing to put in warm-ups for group classes because they just look ridiculous. And people are like, people, you know, yeah, like the pogo. People are always like, am I doing this right? Like, you know, but I mean, in terms, like, it also has huge athletic development benefits, obviously. Like, it's a nice way to like have a power output without tons of strain on the nervous system. I mean, there's a lot of touches, I guess, involved. So like the impact is high, but I mean, it's not like doing heavy power cleans or things like that where, you know, I think it's comparable in terms of not comparable, but it's just another way to like introduce like a good power output into a program that almost everybody can do. Like kids can do it, average people can do it, stuff like that. So that would probably be like my most favorite thing to do in terms of like methodologies of like what I think is the most crucial. I mean, I like just like general strength programs. So I mean, like I really like the 5-3-1 program, like the Windler. We do that one a lot. I like the GVT.
Favorite program. Okay, what's your favorite program?
I like that one. I like the 5-3-1 one is like I like that one because there's always like that plus, you know, like the max out set at the end. And that one you really gotta like, it's like a fun day. You really gotta dig deep, you know, and like it's good to see like what people are really willing to get after on that.
Well, and we use it as an and one program, 8-6-4-2. So like a college environment. So it's always very positive. Like, you got this. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then GVT is always a good one too. GVT is one that's like takes you to a real dark place real fast. So I remember when I first did GVT was like when I was just weightlifting. So I only did it, and you made me do 4 movements in a day. And I was just like, well, I'm dead. Like I'm never coming back. But
Diarrhea.
yeah.
What is your favorite regimen? Like times a week, multiple
Um,
times a day?
I think I probably would say the like four on, one off, one on, one off, just because I've done that for so long. If I'm doing 2-a-days, then I really like the 3 on, 1 off with like like you would work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, rest Thursday, and then work out Friday, Saturday, rest Sunday. If you're doing 2 sessions a day, but if you're only doing 1 session a day, which is what I've been doing now for a while, I like 4 days on, and then a rest day, and then one weekend day. So that way you get to have like I feel like weekend workouts can always kind of, like you go a little longer, or do a little more fun stuff. Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, like I've tried it all. I've done like the 6 days on, done 3 sessions a day, I've done 2 sessions a day. But my favorite's probably 4 days on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off.
What's your favorite exercise?
I like to snatch, probably.
So
That's always been.
what's your favorite gymnastics exercise?
I like to pull up, but like not chest to bars. Don't get crazy. Like just right here, chin up in the bar.
Chin or flat chin? Reaching chin or flat chin?
No, like flat chin.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the reaching chin happens, but you gotta always, at least try with a flat chin. But I'm a big pull up fan. I think pull up that's probably my favorite exercise. But I like to snatch because I just think snatch is it's a wild ride,
It is. It's fast. For
Fast.
sure. It's for sure fast. What's your favorite style of coaching? Like I'm very, very handsy. I like tactile.
Yeah, I'm not as tactile as you.
So, but now I just spray with lice, and I use
No, it's called Lysol. It's not lice. Lice is a parasite.
I was trying to say Raid. I spray people with Raid.
Yeah.
But
I'm not as tactile. I never really have been. Even when I was coaching lifting and trying to put people in positions and stuff, I've always been less tactile than you.
Yep.
But I think it's a great skill, but it's just never been my style. I don't know. I like the team atmosphere. So that plays into group classes basically, but my favorite is like working with a team and like being able to get multiple people doing the same thing at one time. I think that is just like real satisfying.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not a big fan of actually like showing exercise either. I want you to like neurologically envision it and then show me what you think it is, and then I'll show it to you so then I can actually create or correct what you created.
Yeah. Well, that's like you teaching me how to snatch, like you never showed me how to snatch. You just let me come and work out with you. That's a good question I get all the time is like, oh my gosh, like how did Max teach you how to lift? And I was like, yeah.
He made me lift outside, and when I said control, he let me
lift this bar, and I'll give you some pointers. But I mean, like, it worked because I feel like my technique is pretty developed.
No one wants to lift on a slope, Gillian. No one. No. When you go flat, you feel like you've done something.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm more of like you do it and then we'll correct it rather than I'm gonna over analyze it before I've even seen it. That's my favorite is like when people are like, hey, take a look at this lift. Let me know what you think. And you're like, okay, you can show me one lift, but like I'm gonna need to see like 15 lifts to really help you out.
1,000 of these. And then you come in every day and train, and let me see how consistent you are in your training.
Yeah. You know what else is my favorite? My favorite is like when people ask me, hey, can you watch this next one? And you're like, and I mean, like, I get like,
until this point, it's funny you mentioned this.
I get it, but I was like, you realize that I see everything that happens in this room. Like, I think that people don't realize, like,
that is, I'm gonna hug them and be like, yeah, and I tell them all the time, don't worry, I won't let you die.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh man, yeah, but I'm always like, what do you think I've been doing this whole time?
Yeah, I'm a little bit like, I'm so sorry. Did it seem like I wasn't paying attention? Yes, I was.
Totally. So you've been moving well. You've been moving well, getting better. It hasn't been getting worse, let me tell you.
Yeah.
What would you tell a rookie coach or like a newbie or a grunt?
Oh man. I mean, I would just tell them like, just send it, dude. Like, go for it. I remember like in my early days of coaching, like I remember my first ever class I ever taught at CrossFit Laguna Beach. I had to teach the kipping pull up. And like I just like was the most enthusiastic and like detailed coach in the world about the kipping pull up. And it was like, probably like an 800 square foot room. And there was like 2 pull up bars. Like it was the smallest gym, but I just say like, don't lose that. Like just, I mean, like you have to start at such a high intensity because like eventually you're going to level out and find what you can sustain, And so like, don't start low, like start so high and really send it in the beginning and then try and figure out how to like, at least keep peeking in or tapping into that peak every once in a while. I feel so jaded with that answer.
I feel like that was pretty good. That's probably the best coaching answer I've heard for.
But that's what I
send it
would
and then
say.
find what you can maintain because it's
Yeah.
People are going to make you feel you're going to question people.
Well, I mean, it becomes like, it's a lot. Like it's like pouring your cup out every day, which I'm sure like so many professions feel like, and you just have to remember like how you felt in the beginning. And if you were like so into it in the beginning, then you're going to always be able to at least tap back into that and like be excited about what you're doing every day. So that would be my advice.
What would you tell a veteran coach?
Well, can I just tell them the opposite? Like, don't stop sending it. No, for real though. I would tell a veteran coach like just to not stop learning, like I mean like your question with the certifications and how I'm like, well, I don't have all of them anymore. But I mean, I would never stop like trying to at least see what's happening in the industry and like what people are doing, what people are talking about, like, and especially right now, like it's been interesting through like all of quarantine and like with gyms trying to reopen back up with COVID and stuff like that. Like what the industry is really doing as a response has been interesting to see. And so,
I still read 5 to 10 books on fitness, functional fitness, health and wellness, business, some form to do with the fitness industry. A year. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you probably read more books than me. Like you're
100%.
definitely one of those people.
Well, it's because I'm illiterate, so that's why it bothers me. I'm normally really good at a lot of things, but I am horrible at reading and writing. So I attack those things. So keep learning. Well, what would you tell both of them?
Oh man, where did you get these questions?
I came up with them myself. They're fire.
Okay, right? Okay. They're fire. Yes, they're good.
You're like this.
I would just no. You're fine.
My questions, man.
I would say for both is, like make sure that when you show up to work that you want to show up to work. Otherwise, find a new job. That's what I would say. Because like if a coach is there and he's not or she's not, they're not, like just at least interested and committed and passionate about what they're doing, then they're going to be a shitty coach. So don't be honest with yourself, and it's not for everybody, and that's okay. Or like, the phases of your life might change and you might just outgrow it or whatever. And so like, if you definitely, if you're not excited about it, or at least can't remember the excitement from the beginning that you can tap into, then I would probably, just be honest and move on.
Yeah, I think it's hard for people to realize that and want to jump out of the industry. But at the same time, I think this type of work, the amount of actual passion that people get from us, or like education they get from us, or drive they get from us, if you're either not faking it or at least putting out positive vibes, you could really destroy some people along the way, on the way out, I've seen coaches do it. I've seen gym owners do it, where they just ruin their community, or they ruin their like circle of clients just because they just kind of faked it or lied to themselves and didn't really show up, So And I had problems too sometimes firing clients. Like I liked them, so I didn't want to fire them, but they were such like a, oh God, I got to deal with them again.
They were like the least liked clients. They were 100% on burpee days and 5% on snatch days.
That's why I like the group environments, because like group environment, you can really drown somebody out like that, you know?
Yeah. The group environment too is fun because like everybody all of a sudden likes everything, you know? You're like, people are so competitive naturally.
What is your coaching message? Like if you had to take an actual coach's message, and what are you trying to tell people on a daily level?
Well, right now I'm working with average like people that are just trying to live a healthier lifestyle. So I would say my message is just like don't stop, you know? Like don't get discouraged from the hard days and get super excited from the good days. And just remember, like I have a lot of people that I've worked with that their kids have been a motivating factor because they were not the healthiest or they were overweight or they couldn't, you know, really maintain the lifestyle that they saw was necessary to keep up with growing up kids or growing kids, children that were getting older. So that was a big motivator for them. And I just feel like you got to remember like what you're doing. So like my biggest message would say like figure that out. Like figure out what your motivation is, because staying healthy and staying fit and getting up and going to the gym or getting up and working out at home, which a ton of people we just saw our community just crush it, you know, which is exciting for me to work with those people every day. Um, but getting up and doing it every day, like it's it's easy to get lost in like the day to day thing, but like remember what you're doing it for, and then just don't stop. Like you have to be committed to it, and you have to know that like it's gonna be worth it in the long run, and it's already paying off every day, even if you can't tell. So just don't get beat down, and I mean,
Keep on keeping on. Yeah,
yeah, like be
for
excited
sure.
about your small
For sure.
victories too, you know? Like I think that celebrating the small victories along the way is important, and they get overlooked sometimes.
I was with a newer coach the other morning. We were working together, and I hit the butt. We played we made a video, and I told him, "Hey, let's make an elevator." And he looked at me like that's what I would want to do, and I was like, "Yeah,
Oh, that's what it was
it'll
over
be like
there.
super stupid. Like we'll do it, you know, or we'll work on doing stairs." And he looked at me like, why would this guy want to play these dumb games on video? And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like fun. And Mikey knows me, you know, and because we were in that environment, it was interesting for him to be like, oh yeah, he is a pretty jovial guy.
Yeah.
But he is very serious. So yeah, it's super important. Super
Yeah.
important.
Don't stop.
What type of community do you want to build or leave?
Well,
What
I
is
mean,
what is your legacy? No, what kind of what type of community do you want to build? Because no matter what, whether you're a hourly coach, a salary coach, a manager, you're involved in a community at all times, especially in this like group environment, CrossFit, boutique style gyms. You're in it. You're building these mini little sectors, right? So that
yeah.
are into functional fitness, if you will.
Well, I think that we're on our way to doing a good job at building a community at Costa Mesa. But my ideal community would just be one that's like full of people that are passionate and really driven, and they understand their motivations and they're committed to them, and a community that's really inclusive to all different walks of life, like everybody who has the same goal or at least the same endpoint, you know, like maybe a different path to get there, but the same idea of like living a healthier life and helping like raise up the people around them to live a healthier life. I think that's important. And it's okay if inside of our community, like some people have good days and some people have bad days, as long as like the community itself can really lift up the people that need it on the days they need it. So I mean, just one like there for like it's a community in the sense of like the most basic sense of the word, and really supporting its members. But it's important too that like we're welcoming to like people that are coming into our community and looking for a new home. We're welcoming to people that are not the same as us. We're welcoming to people that are coming from a different start point, things like that. And also we're a community that's based on learning and support and commitment and being able to like help each other get to where we're going regardless of where we've been.
That's awesome. Gillian, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of our first
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Coach's Corner here. I appreciate it. I really, really do. I know that you've taken some time out of your day to come on board and talk to us. So I just want to say thank you, and we'll talk soon, huh?
Yeah. Yep. I'll see you around.